here's another one where I think I may get a lot of heat for this. And one game that I started playing, and I played for about 55 hours of it. I played this game to death, was Dragon Age Origins. And you know what? I still have not finished it, and I may not, because I'm playing it on PC. And I think I haven't played the Xbox, I haven't played any other version of it. But I think PC is probably the way to go, just because there's a lot to do in terms of maneuvering, manipulating your inventory, crafting things, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. This game is... Here's my main problem with it. And I'll get to my minor complaints over this one. But after 55 hours of this game, the story is interesting, no doubt. I'm digging the characters. I'm digging the conversations that we're having with the characters. It's all very well done. But from beginning to end, every fight I've had so far has played out pretty much the same. And I'm not sure how to deal with that. And I'm not even saying you could argue that's the way it is with a lot of games, even like BioWare games. But no. BioWare games like Jade Empire or Mass Effect or Baldur's Gate, or not, that's not a BioWare game, is it? Probably, but Baldur's Gate, things like that. All these RPGs, you could argue you're fighting the same fight all the time. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm fighting the same fight all the time, but here, I almost literally am, because almost every fight I've ever had has been basically a mob of goons surrounding me. I cast the same spells, and they explode. And I'm not really feeling involved with this thing. It all just blurred together once again. I kind of got bored with it, because it's just like I go into one room, orcs surround me, I cast my usual bevy of spells, they go away, and I'm not even saying I'm not even exaggerating. I'm casting the same spell. I'm casting the same spell now at my 18th level, or I think I'm at 16. I'm casting the same spell now that I did at level 1. And basically my mage, what he does is he has this spell called Walking Corpse Bomb or something like that. I probably described this to you before, but basically what happens is you cast this degenerative spell on this guy, and if he dies while the spell is taking effect, he explodes. And he does area of effect damage to everyone around him. And so I'm like, that's cool. So what I do is I freeze the guy, I cast the spell on him, and I hit him with a big fucking spell, and he explodes, and he takes his friends out. And I've been doing this pretty much the whole game. So I cast the freeze, I cast the bomb, I have my guys shoot him, boom. And I've been doing this whole game. The only way that's evolved at all is I got the advanced version of Walking Corpse Bomb, which is called Virulent Corpse Bomb, which means anyone who's hit with the chunks of the guy who just exploded gets infected with the same spell, and if they die, they explode too. So I'm just dealing, every encounter, I'm dealing with it same way, and it hasn't changed whether or not I'm fighting demons. It hasn't changed whether or not I'm fighting the Darkspawn, whether or not I'm fighting dwarves, brigands, anything. I'm doing the same thing. And even games like Baldur's Gate, where I was fighting with a party, and I had all these guys with different abilities. I still felt like I was doing something unique with those guys. It didn't feel like I was just kind of sending these guys out to keep me safe while I was blasting them with the same spell. The enemies that you were fighting would all do different things. They had different weaknesses. It felt like at least they had different weaknesses. You actually had to approach things a little differently. You were fighting a variety of different monsters. You were fighting bugs, dungeon creatures, flying things, dudes with bows that you had to approach a different way. Pardon me. You just had to deal with different things, and really all it feels with I'm just dealing with mob after mob after mob, and it just gets boring for me. Right now I'm level 16. I'm running around Orzammar fighting room after room of fucking dwarves and just blowing them up. So I don't know, and like with Baldur's Gate or other BioWare games, my abilities evolved. Like even if I was playing a mage or a fighter, my abilities would change and grow, and I would get new spells and I would get new abilities. And really, all I'm doing now with the mage I'm playing now is just kind of leveling up the spell trees I already have, and it doesn't really feel like I'm doing anything new. And I'm sure you'll argue, and besides that, I've also found a new way to kind of deal with certain monsters. Like the only time I ever found that I had kind of discovered a new tactic was I actually looked online to see if I was alone in this, and there actually is a word for it, developed from early MMO days, and that's called kiting, where I was getting my ass kicked by this big troll because I would cast my spell on him and he was too big and buff. It was like the only time I wasn't fighting a mob, I was fighting this big fucking troll. It was like that was the only time there was any kind of divergence in my tactics. So I was getting my ass kicked, and all of a sudden I realized this dude would chase me no matter what. So I would cast my spell, set my other 3 guys to archery, and I would just run around. And this guy would follow me because he was aggroed towards me, and my guys would just fill him with arrows till he fell down. It was kiting. And if he ever turned aggro on someone else, that guy would run around and they would kite, and same thing. So, and that wasn't a strategy. I was just exploiting the AI, So I really want to like this game, and I do. I do like this game, but this is actually one of the rare examples when I would argue a game is too long, because I'm probably 3/4 of the way through this game, and I'm bored with it, because I just know every fight I do is going to be exactly the same. I don't know. Sorry. The other game that I've been playing, I rented this one, and I'm glad I did, was Bayonetta. Oh, God. Here's the thing. I like Bayonetta. It's a good game. It's actually very well crafted, and it requires a lot of talent to play well. Now, I could go on about how I find the game misogynistic, and it is, but it's kind of in that over-the-top way that you almost can't hate it, because it knows it's silly, it knows it's being misogynistic, and it's just kind of throwing it up in the air and just being like, you know what, shut up and have fun with it. So I did. I shut up and I had fun with it, and I played it for a while. The story is ridiculous, but you're not really playing it for the story. You're playing it to have a laugh, and you're playing it because it's a really fucking hard game. And that's actually something you don't get a lot nowadays. A game that's good, but also very hard. So, if you suck at it, it's your fault. And I did suck at this game quite a lot. And I was just playing it on the normal difficulty. I don't even want to try it on the hard difficulty or the one after that. The main problem I had was I rented this game on the PS3, and none of y'all warned me that the PS3 version is the one that sucks. Because it does. I wouldn't have thought that, but it really does. And I'm sure, fucking positive that this game is better on the 360. It has to be. Because I have never experienced this before in my life, but the load times on Bayonetta on the PS3 are unholy! You might as well just, if you're booting this game up on the PS3, put the game in, set it loading, go shower, have breakfast, come back, and you might be at a menu screen. Because not only did it take forever to load, there's like 8 studio production credits that you can't skip before this thing. So like every studio that had a hand in this thing has like a 10-second screen that just pops up one after the other just to get this thing fucking loaded. So when the game loads, it takes forever to load the level, and while you're waiting, it lets you play around with Bayonetta in like this matrix space where you can practice your combos. I never got over, to me, it was just kind of button mashy, but I am certain that there are people who are fucking artists at this game, so power to you. But, it's good that they let you play around with it, because you will sit and watch that fucking load screen for a minute, 90 seconds. It's ridiculous. And that's not even where it gets funny. Where it gets funny is I had to take a shit. So I paused the game, and you know what? The pause screen has a load screen. I hit the start button, it goes, loading. 5 seconds later, it goes, paused. That that blew my mind. I was like, you had to load the pause screen. Whenever you collect an item, you know how in Ninja Gaiden, when you'd walk over an item, you collect it, it would stop the game, like go whoosh, and bring up an item. It'd tell you, like, you got arrows, but whoosh, arrows. In this one, you run over an item, it goes whoosh, loading. Tears of Umbra. Like, 5 seconds of loading before you got your item. It would be like Broken Witch, it'd be like whoosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Broken Witch Heart. Like, how do you do that? You are literally loading a picture. You are stopping the game and loading a picture. That's it. It takes like a minute to load the fucking store. You just want to spend your credits. So you're like, I'm going to go here, load the store. Finally, you get to the store, and then you get out. You have to get back to the pause screen. It has to load the whole level up again. Things like that. There was so much else you had to load. Basically, every time the mode changes, every time there's a load screen. So, and I'm not talking like just in the middle of the level. You'll be doing your level, all of a sudden there's a cinematic. Cinematic has to load. So then get back to the game has to load. Load. So I really started to hate this game because the load times are atrocious. Way bummer of a job, guys. It sucks. And so I don't mind dying to get better at a game, but every time I died, I would be waiting 2 minutes for the game to load again. So you either had to get really good, really fast if you wanted to avoid load screens, or you were just fucked. So I think the comparisons with Ninja Gaiden are unavoidable. And I still like Ninja Gaiden. I'm worse at Ninja Gaiden, and I like it better because I wasn't waiting for fucking load screens all the time. Really? Oh, man, I wish I'd picked up the 360 version because it can't have been that bad. The load screens cannot have been that horrible, but they were. Honestly, to me, Bayonetta is good, but I think if you were a Ninja Gaiden fan, I still think you'd find this no more than just kind of a ripoff of Ninja Gaiden. Now, there are a lot of unlockables, ridiculously fucking priced unlockables. Thankfully, there are people who have already found exploits to get as many Halos as you need. So all you got to do is spend like 15 minutes. You get all the Halos you ever wanted. So if you're worried about that, don't. Because just play through the game once, and if you want to get the unlockables, that's no problem. But it's really just Ninja Gaiden with a lot more unlockables, and I still think Ninja Gaiden is a better put-together game. I never played Ninja Gaiden 2. I need to play number 2. I got kind of warned off that one, actually. I'm not sure who warned me, but they were like, that's not as good, and the bosses are bullshit. But that was always the complaint against Ninja Gaiden, was the bosses are bullshit. But I don't know. Bayonetta. Do not play on PS3. God, that one hurt like a son of a bitch. Other games I've been playing. I've actually been... I downloaded a shitload of games off Steam because Steam had all these end-of-the-year sales that were really, really ridiculously cheap. And so I've been going back and playing all these games that I always really missed. Like King's Bounty, which I got for like $2. King's Bounty is Heroes of Might and Magic, complete carbon copy. But it's still pretty good. Because the last Heroes of Might and Magic I played was like 2. So that was really good. But it was good to play a kind of an updated version of it. But I found it virtually identical. The one thing I don't like about King's Bounty is the fact that you had better figure out a way to find out how big mobs are in comparison to you, because you will just run into mobs that will outnumber you. I am not even kidding, 50-1. Like, you'll have 20 guys, and they will have 400, and they'll be like, what the fuck was that? There's no way to tell graphically how big a mob is in comparison to yours. What you got to do is you've got to mouse hover over the army that you're about to attack and like right click, and it'll say something like very weak, normal, or overpowering. You'd think they would make the overpowering bit a little easier to read. Like MMOs do that much better. Where like if the name is red, stay away. No, they don't do that. It's just like one picture of a spider could be very weak. Another picture of a spider will have like 9,000 spiders in it. So, like, watch the fuck out. I just started playing Crysis. Kind of an old game, I know, but I've been trying that one. Somebody also recommended to me, there was another service that was offering all of the Tex Murphy games for about $15. So I am actually I may actually do this tonight, just try out Under a Killing Moon or the Pandora Directive, because I downloaded that. I want to see if they work. If they were very good games, don't get me wrong. The reason I kind of hated those games was because I kind of went over this before, but you would have to swap discs all the fucking time. And I'm not talking like, Ripper, I swap disc all the time and I kind of complain about it, but it's not nearly that bad. Like, Ripper tends to go in kind of chronological order. If you're in Act 1, you're either dealing with Disc 1 or Disc 2, and you may swap between Disc 1 and Disc 2, but it's pretty solid. Act 2 is 3 and 4, Act 3 is 5 and 6. Pretty standard. Under a Killing Moon, there were no rules, man. It was Thunderdome. If you were like, you could be in the prologue, and the person would be like, go talk to this woman at the newsstand. You'd be like, all right. You'd be walking down the street, and just in the middle of the street, it would stop and be like, insert disc 7. You'd be like, 7? 7? So you'd be like, all right. You go in the case and flip. Oh, here's disc 7. Pop that in. And you'd be like, all right, here's your fucking disc 7. You'd talk to the guy, and they'd be like, go to this building and talk to the short order cook. And you'd be like, all right. So you'd go to the restaurant and be like, disc 3, please. So I'm just interested to see, after installing this game, if it abstracts out the disc swapping. I have got to see if, because that was the longest part of that game, was just like, it goes, stop, disc 7, stop, disc 3. If it takes all that out, this game is probably like 15 minutes long. I'm really fascinated to see that. I may actually do a Let's Play of this. I honestly don't remember that much about Under a Killing Moon. I played that, and I played the Pandora Directive, but I played these when I was like 12. I'm starting to feel really old here, but I played these a long time ago. Probably not 12, probably 14, but long time ago. And I really liked them back then, but I remember virtually nothing about those fucking games. I remember the graphics were kind of muddy, but what did you expect? Back in those were like one of the first ever CD-ROM games. That was way back in the day. Almost finished with Ripper. Actually, I started doing these vlogs just as I was loading Ripper up. It's probably loading in the background. Probably way loaded in the background by now. My computer's asleep now. But I may actually finish Ripper in one more portion. Actually, what's funny about this next part of Ripper is it's not that long, but it's probably, in terms of gameplay time, the longest act that I've played so far. Just because there's a lot of running around. Like, you'll be talking to one guy, and that person will be like, oh, so you think I'm the Ripper? Why don't you tell this guy this? And so you'll have to go tell that guy that. And you're playing a lot of, like, you're running around saying like one thing to one person, showing one thing to another, kind of bouncing around. But the bad thing is, whenever you bounce around locations, you got to swap discs, and you got to navigate the entire building to get to them. The transitions are by far the lengthiest part of the game. And so you'll notice as I'm doing the Let's Play, I am cutting out virtually every transition in that game. Like, you don't see me go anywhere. But this game has, I'd say about 80% of that runtime of this game is just walking from point A to point B and doing nothing in between. So, seriously, just going up and down the elevator to that fucking hospital took 2 years off my life. It's so long. But yeah, I actually think Act 3 may not be that long. I've actually edited together the raw files of it. So, yeah, we'll see how long it is. But I don't think it can't be more than a half hour. So we'll see, and you'll get to see who the Ripper is. The first ending you'll see is the Ripper that I got. There are multiple endings, and yeah, you'll see those too, which was kind of a chore to get, but you'll see. Yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap this up now. I've probably been talking all night long, talking about shit you don't care about, but hey, that's just me. I'm feeling a gabby mood. So, I haven't been playing any other games. I've been trying to work. Yeah, so Bayonetta took some time out of my life, and I wasted so much time on fucking Star Trek Online. Oh, that was so disappointing. I may try, if I get some of my friends online, I may boot up the game again, or not that game, but elsewhere. I may try to boot up the game again, see how it plays with more people. it really is a group experience if you're ever going to play that. I know MMOs are meant to be a group experience, but it just doesn't feel right. Anyway, you guys have a good night. I'll be back with more Ripper, and I'll be back with a bunch of other stuff that I announced on my site. Still working on all of it, so you'll see me around.